Chapter 2. The Princess Loses Herself. I've said the Princess Irene was about 8 years old when my story begins, and this is how it begins. One very wet day, when the mountain was covered with mist, which was constantly gathering itself together into raindrops and pouring down on the roofs of the old house, where it fell in a fringe of weather all around the eaves, the princess could not, of course, go out. She got very tired, so tired that even her toys no longer amused her. You would wonder at this if I had time to describe to you even one half of the toys she had. But then you wouldn't have them toys themselves, and that makes all the difference. One cannot get tired of a thing before you have it. The picture was, though, worth seeing. The princess, sitting in the nursery with the sky-covered ceiling above her head, a great table covered with her toys. If the artist would like to draw this, I would advise him not to meddle with the toys. I am afraid of the attempt to describe them, and I think he had better not try to draw them. He had really better not. He can do 1,000 things I cannot, but I do not think he could draw these toys. No man could make better the princess herself than he could, though. Leaning with her little back bowed onto the back of the chair, her head hanging down, her hands in her lap, very miserable, as she would say herself, and not knowing what she would like, except that it were to go out, get thoroughly wet, and catch a particularly nasty cold, and have to go to bed and take gruel. The next moment after you see her sitting there, her nurse goes out of the room. And I'm just going to pause to show you that the artist did indeed take the author's advice. Her nurse goes out of the room. Even that is a change, and the princess wakes up a little and looks about her. Then she stumbles off the chair and runs out of the door, which is not the same door that the nurse went out of, but one which had opened at the foot of a curious old worm-eaten oak staircase, which looked as if never anyone had ever stepped foot upon it. She had once before been up 6 steps, and that was sufficient reason, in such a day, for trying to find out what was up at the top of it. She ran up and up, such a very long way it seemed to her, until she came to the top of a 3rd flight of stairs. There she found a landing, which at the end was a long passageway. Into this she ran. It was full of doors on either side. There were so many she did not care to open any, but ran to the end, where she turned round another passage, also full of doors. And when she turned twice more and still saw only doors and only doors about her, she began to get frightened. It was so silent. And all those doors must hide rooms with nobody in them. That was dreadful. Also, the rain made a great trampling noise on the roof. She turned and started at full speed, her little footsteps echoing through the sound of the rain, back to the stairs and her safe nursery. So she thought, but she had lost herself long ago. It doesn't follow that she was lost, because she had lost herself, though. That's an odd sentence. She thought, though, but she had lost herself long ago. It doesn't follow, though, that she was lost, because she had lost herself, though. That sentence still doesn't make sense to me. She ran some distance, turned several times, then began to feel afraid. Very soon she was sure that she had lost the way back. Rooms everywhere and no stairs. Her little heart beat as fast as her little feet ran, and a great lump of tears was growing in her throat. But she was too eager and perhaps too frightened to cry for some time. At last her hope failed her. Nothing but passages and doors everywhere. She threw herself onto the floor and burst into a wailing cry and broken sobs. She didn't know how long she cried, however, for she did not cry long, however, for soon she was as brave as could be expected of a princess of her age. After a good cry, she got off, brushed the dust off her frock. Oh, what old dust it was! She wiped her eyes with her hands, for a princess does not always have her handkerchief in their pocket, any more than some little girls I know of. Next, like a true princess, she resolved she would go on wisely to work out her way back. She would walk through the passages and look in every direction for the stairs. This she did, but without success. She went over the same ground again and again without knowing it, for the passages and the doors, they all looked alike. At last, in the corner, through a half-open door, she did see stairs, but alas, it was going the wrong way. Instead of going down, it went up. Frightened as she was, however, she could not help wishing to see where the further stairs could lead. It was very narrow, and so steep that she went on like a four-legged creature on her hands and knees.